Welcome everyone to another entry of my director's diary, and this is week 3, day 3. Stay tuned to find out how we managed to get an actor to connect deeply, as well as how we dealt with kind of an increase in people in the room, as well as introducing props and pieces of set. So, week 3, again, day 3, we have many challenges. Again, this time round, remember I spoke to the actors and said to make sure you're on time, make sure you're consistent as well as the director, because I landed right at 10, and ideally I would have wanted to get there a little bit before, so they were waiting for me. So you want to make sure that you two are consistent, and when you arrive, you just apologize. You can make light of it like I did, or after all that, I'm late, so I apologize for that. Um, then we began the day. Again, actors 10 to 10:30 their time. They came, we spoke about how they're feeling. And actors can be very, kind of withdrawn to begin with. But again, we continued with our process. So today, the focus was on the last remaining kind of 4 scenes, and I'd hoped that we'll get 2 scenes in the morning and then 2 scenes in the afternoon, which we didn't. And never underestimate. You might see a page and it's a scene and it's 10 pages, and you think, yeah, I can get that done in an hour. No, you can't. Especially if you're doing the level of detail that you want to be doing in week 3. Today, we managed to kind of dig deep in an emotional core of a character, and I utilized a few kind of techniques that some people may disagree with. I think Katie Mitchell feels as if an actor shouldn't have kind of great affinity to the material, and new people also believe the same thing. And I think to a certain degree I agree with them, but also as an actor, as someone who is an actor, there's sometimes you cannot remove yourself from the character you're playing. It's difficult to not associate what your character is going through to some things that you yourself have gone through. So, where there's a character that's dealing with grief, if you yourself have ever gone through grief, sometimes that comes together and there's that connection. Um, and I think there is kind of value in actors stepping into that. I think if you can talk them safely into it and stay safely out of it, you can. So I'll detail what happens. So the scene has the character talking to their father who passed away, and I think there's room for deeper emotional depth. So I let the actor do what they prepared, and then I wanted them to kind of speak to me. So speak to me as if I'm the dad, and speak to me, and tell me how much you miss your dad. What do you miss about them? And they started doing that. And then I said, actually, let me chat to you. So put them to a side. I got to ask them, what their dad's name was. And then got them something I did from Guildhall, got them to get a picture of their dad and to look at the picture of their dad and have it near them, and then speak to me again in their own accent. Did it and connected, and then you could see there's moments where it started to click, and then they got into the character, with the accent and the character. And then once they've done it a few times, I told them to repeat it a couple more times, and then after that, I took them to one side, and myself and them spoke, and I talked, helped them kind of understand that what they did was was strong, and it was brave, and it's a great kind of indication of their abilities, but they shouldn't kind of live in that. This should be a moment for them to step outside, for a few minutes, get some fresh air, but also to remember that that was that character. It's acting, okay? So you don't need to kind of be so stuck in that place. Of course, they have drama therapists to help them further into that, and we are not therapists, so it's not always encouraged that the actors use this as a chance to deal with whatever the emotional, psychological baggage they have. But as an actor, I know that the times when I've connected to material the most is when I found some sort of link with the material alongside my own, either imagined experience or imagined life, because that's what you're doing. You're using your imagination, and that's what you're using your imagination, and that's where that kind of like authenticity and believability comes in. So we use that, and that was great to see, and it was great for the actor, the young actor, to feel. We also came across blocks around stresses. I think by stresses I mean kind of line stresses. One of the challenges that actors fall into is mislearning or misstressing lines. And as a director, you're listening out, especially if you're really up for understanding rhythm and that kind of thing. So listen out for what the actor's saying. Get them to have specificity and accuracy of text. So if a stress, if a line is stressed on the wrong word, it gives it a different meaning, right? So present is different to or present is different to present. Present, present. Okay. Project, project. Different. So sometimes the stress on one word, the syllable, or different stress in a sentence. So we had something along those lines, and it's about negotiating that and asking them, right? You ask them, so what one version I did it, I said, can you explain to me thinking behind that stress instead of this stress? And then they explain it. Then I go, well, actually, based off of your explanation, the other stress is strongest. And then they do it and they go, oh, it makes sense. So that's something that you'll also have to keep up with. There's still the challenge of people yawning loudly. So I'm gonna have to find a way to navigate and negotiate that. And I think maybe I might wait Friday to kind of speak to them about it. And I think I might go along the lines of let's be more discreet with our yawning, because a lesser understanding um, director would be offended and think you find them boring and their process boring. So I'll be playful with it. So we are ahead. We started to incorporate props and again a challenge with the writer on how to best utilize this. And I think sometimes you employ the technique of either coming up to them and saying, actually, I think it's this, or going some directors like it just ignore and hope it goes away. I don't want to employ that. I want to kind of make sure that we address everything so that there's evidence of that and say this is what we agreed on, and then we move forward. So lucky enough to be on schedule, lucky enough to actually be ahead of schedule. So next week we'll incorporate part of the set, and or rather tomorrow incorporate part of the set, and then Friday we'll do movement and our first stagger. So join me, don't go anywhere, and hear so you can hear some more. Direct, play, repeat. Thank you.